Hello, welcome. It's yet another A Star to Steer Her By. I know you thought we were gone, but we're back with another week's worth of Star Trek commentary and discussion. I've written you an essay. We're gonna get into it now.
You wrote an essay?
No, but I have synopses for 2 episodes that we're talking about this week.
Oh man, I got so excited.
It is our episode number 324.
Damn.
Right?
Oh, woo!
Thank you. I was waiting for a woo. There it is.
Sorry, I'm bracing myself.
As usual, this is Ames.
This is Caitlin.
This is Jake.
This is Chris.
Do you not like one of these episodes, or are you bracing yourself because you've injured your neck already?
There's an aspect in both of them that has me very cross.
Neat. Let's find out what it is.
I believe it's pronounced...
The man is cross. Everyone, watch out.
It's pronounced bum, Chris.
I don't think I've said which episodes these are yet that Chris is ready to be cross with. The episodes are Shadows of Pajem and Shuttlepod One. So basically, and here's... I don't know why this is the thing I'm going to harp on. It's, let's end the episode from the same high-angle shot of someone in sickbay week.
Yay.
Here on A Star to Steer Her By. They do it in both episodes, and once you notice it, it's very frustrating. Let's talk about it. We're starting off with Shadows of Pajem, though. Here we are doing the thing. Ambassador Saval, that Vulcan we met once, confirms that yes, the Andorians have destroyed the fuck out of that monastery on Pajem.
Yes!
All thanks to Archer in the Andorian incident, which I bitched about a whole lot a couple of weeks ago. Go back and listen to that episode. I was very cross, so it's only fitting that I get to bitch about again now. Fuck you, Archer. God damn him. So, T'Pol gets to say I told you so in her most Vulcan way possible. And then she learns that she's getting relieved of duty on the Enterprise. What a relief. Literally. Out of sheer stubbornness, Archer decides, I have to take T'Pol on our final mission to Corridan, because she's not getting off that easy. And Corridan is a place we've heard of. We heard it mentioned in Journey to Babel. It's where they were going. They mentioned it in Sarek. I think it may have been where they were going. It's definitely come up before. So we're heading over there. However, we get our asses captured by terrorists of some kind and tied up in some dungeon or other, as we are wont to do. Meanwhile, the Vulcan captain, Sopek, of the Vulcan ship Nivar, shows up to bring T'Pol home. And Trip has to say, well, about that.
No, do it with the accent, Ames.
I don't have the accent. Let me think. They're tied up tighter than a crawdad in a pot of boiling water. Something southern. And Sopek says, well, we Vulcans will take care of it. You humans don't get involved. So Trip and Reed say, okily dokily, but really, let's get involved a whole lot. Before they're promptly kidnapped by Andorians like failures. Meanwhile, the 2 crawdads have gotten out of their pot of boiling water after a really agonizingly long boob smothering scene.
Oh my god.
Archer is dead now. He has died of boob smothering.
Thank God.
If only.
Shouldn't we all?
Well,
but they get captured
if you
again
gotta
anyway. So it was all moot. All the boob smothering was moot. Trip and Reed. Thank you, Jay.
No. That's a boat, not a boot.
Oh.
Moot, I mean. Wait.
Moot.
Let me try again. That's a boat, not a moot. Still not funny. Go ahead.
Still not funny. I'm continuing because we're getting close to something actually happening, perhaps. Nope, maybe not. Trip and Reed team up with Shran, who's only there because he's not been sleeping because he really hates having a debt to Archer. So it sounds like he must have foreseen this coming? Question marks? Anyway, all this while, the Vulcan team is getting ready to plan some kind of commando raid, which doesn't seem very Vulcan at fucking all, but we'll get into that later. Everything is coming to a head in some big firefight. I'm pretty sure only the terrorist characters get killed because no one ever dies in this show. And I don't even think that was at the hands of the Starfleet people. I think it was only from Vulcans and Andorians. Anyway, the head terrorist, Traeg, is about to shoot Sopek or Archer. I couldn't tell. Could have been Somebody else, could have just been anyone in the way. And T'Pol jumps in the way for no fucking reason. Something so emotional that Sopek agrees to ask the Vulcan High Command if she can stay on the Enterprise after all. And we do the high-angle zoom-out shot of T'Pol in sickbay, thinking, maybe I'll have to stay here after all. The fucking end.
They didn't want that illogic of hers spreading to, healthy Vulcans.
Like, oh god, the humans have rubbed off on you. Literally.
Just Archer.
That fucking scene. What
it's
the
awful.
fuck with that fucking... Like, I know every episode is like, let's just be shitty with T'Pol, but this week, it's like, it's a twofer. It's a twofer of terrible... Like, was that supposed to be fucking funny? Because it wasn't. Was it supposed to be erotic? Because it wasn't.
Little boys to be all horny at. They know their audience.
Jesus.
The 12-year-old
Christmas.
little boy deep inside me was pretty turned on, I'm not gonna lie. But
it wasn't even erotic. It was just awkward. It was two people fumbling around.
But she fell on him and her boobs went in his face.
Yeah, it's for every boy to wish he was in that circumstance.
Poor fucking...
I thought you were gonna say
Jolene Blalock.
Oh, it's gross. It's super gross.
I will say this, though. I appreciated Archer's restraint. Like, I don't even get the impression that he had a boner at all. It was very like, oh, no.
He only has a boner for space.
Like Kirk?
I thought you were going to say Trip.
Kirk has a boner for the Enterprise.
Yes.
Though I guess we haven't actually seen Archer's decon panty silhouette yet, so it's hard to say whether or not she would have known if he had a boner or not. Like with Trip, you definitely know,
Also, Andorians, gotta love them. Blowing up a gym, good for them.
Fuck no. Fucking fuck no.
Yep,
Why?
nope.
Why, Chris? So it's okay, here we go. So it's okay for the Andorians to be listening to the Vulcans on their sensors and to know that what's going on over here at Corridan. But it's not okay for Vulcans to have a listening post for similar fucking reasons.
Oh, no, it's not okay for any of them to. But if the Vulcans ever find the Andorians one, they can blow it up too.
Yeah,
but they didn't
that's how spycraft works.
That's espionage, man.
Everybody does it to each other, but if you actually find out about it, you have to strike back.
Yeah, and those Andorians don't fuck around.
They didn't have to destroy all the relics. They could have just gotten some of those, like, in Batman Forever, when the Riddler has his little duck bombs and he just blows up the Batcave? He doesn't take out Wayne Manor. He just blows up the Batcave. They could have just fucked up the outpost and not destroyed the, like, countless, millennia-old treasures of the Vulcan people.
Their treasures, what do they care?
The Vulcans...
Yeah, but, like, didn't... Go ahead, Jake.
See, the Vulcans knowingly built this spy... station, this listening post under, like, the Vulcans put it there.
Yep.
The reason they put it there is because they thought, oh, no one's going to look here. It's just some monks. The Vulcans use these monks and the monastery as, like, human shields, basically, to conduct their operations. So I feel like the Vulcans are somewhat responsible for this.
Not to put a modern spin on this with the very, very, very current event, but then would you say that Israel bombing schools with children in them is okay because the Palestinians may have hidden weapons there? Because it's kind of similar.
Nope, not at all.
No,
These are
even
two
comparable.
Equally powerful nations attacking one another. This isn't an oppressed group and any of the complexities of Israel. This would be like if we decided to build a listening post under the National Cathedral, the Russians found out, and they blew up the National Cathedral.
It's a pretty good. That's a good
notice
comparison,
for everyone to
Chris.
Evacuate first.
Yeah, which they did not have to do. That was really...
I just found that, like, typical Enterprise writing where everything is so bloodless. I wanted them to have killed the monks. I wanted something to feel like there were stakes, and it's cruel blowing up a religious site full of relics for spiteful reasons.
I think it's fucked up too. I'm with you, Ames.
Nah, I also just, like, again, they're both bad people, but at the end of the day, I'm on the Andorian side right now, because every Vulcan we've met so far has been the worst.
Yeah, also, Shran is delightful and charming, and all the Vulcans are fucking shitheads.
Is he? I'm yet to see any characterization in Shran.
I don't know if he's delightful and charming, but he's not a Vulcan.
And he is played by Jeffrey
Racist.
Combs, who is charming and whatever else we said. So.
Maybe it's just that I'm
Racism-
finding Shran so nothing so far.
Yeah, we're
Racism-
used to
maybe
him bringing a lot more, I would say.
Yeah, I think maybe I'm letting my foreknowledge of the Shran character
So it just
color-
takes a while, or what?
Yeah, I mean he's a continual presence throughout the series, and and he's got some good appearances. So
Well, I'll judge those because so far I'm just gonna say, he's just a recurring character.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know.
yeah,
I
that
thought it was pretty hot that he said that Archer was thinking about Archer was keeping him up at night. I was into that.
oh yeah, Archer.
I mean, I would say, Ames, to your point, racism and overcoming it is a big theme of Enterprise.
Well,
in theory.
what about your racism against Vulcans? Or is it that Chris is also going to come around?
That's hopefully my character arc, yes.
I would like that because
I eventually loved Neelix.
that's fair.
Stranger
yeah.
things have happened.
See, my
Although
thing
I've also
is
been ragging on Vulcans for years now because they're the worst.
fair.
That's true.
Yeah, my thing is I just continue to detest most of the things Archer does. And since I found him to have absolutely no fucking place in the disputes between Andorians and Vulcans, that I'm just very angry that something happened because of some stupid shit Archer did.
Now, to be fair to Archer, who's an idiot, I feel like the impression we're starting to get from this is that what the Vulcans have been doing is kind of trying to very quietly take over this area of space via...
I don't get take over.
Not like take over in the sense of leading...
through figureheads, though.
Well, so
Puppet
through
governments.
through cultural influence. Like, not officially running governments or anything like that, but they clearly want everyone to come to them to, to be their buddy, and they'll be de facto in charge, and the arrival of humanity is clearly fucking that up to an extent, and of course the Andorians aren't giving in.
I also think there might be some hints of colonialism in the Vulcans' relationship with Earth.
Oh goodness, yes.
That I actually think you might be right. I kind of see it in the state of the galaxy, or in the state of this part of the galaxy at the time of Enterprise. It's like you have. It seems like so far the big powers that are involved here are the Vulcans and the Andorians, and you kind of have the Klingons, but they're off doing their own shit. But the two big superpower rivals so far seem like the Vulcans and the Andorians, and they're at odds. So like the Vulcans' involvement in Earth is probably just as much about them making sure that the Andorians are not involved in Earth, and probably Corridon too.
Yeah.
So like these are like proxy wars, like Cold War era proxy wars between these two.
So what does
rival
Andoria
powers.
want is the question. Do we know yet, or is it the same thing?
They just don't like
It's
the
probably
Vulcans.
the same thing.
Yeah.
Probably the same thing.
Yeah,
Influence.
Yeah.
It's the same reason, what they want. It's the same reason the United States spent the 20th century, putting bases and deploying soldiers into all of South America and all of, East Asia and et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, like I've been getting big. What I'm getting from the Vulcans in this, and I don't know that they necessarily did this on purpose. I don't want to give Enterprise too much credit, but I don't know that I've said this before, but maybe I have. But like Vulcans in this, even though we said like very recently that this is like the most American Star Trek has been since the 60s, like as far as Archer and Starfleet, it all feels very America. Hoorah. I feel like if we're speaking metaphorically, Vulcans are the white people of space in this, specifically like white America, white Europe, this kind of cultural colonialism, if not literal colonialism. And it's getting thrown off a bit. They've had their thing going with the Andorians clearly for some time now, and our arrival has really thrown things off. They had a nice little balance of terror going, and also I feel like this might retroactively explain one of the weirdest lines in TOS. Way back in the day, at one point, clearly before they decided what the history of the Alpha Quadrant was, Bones grumbled at Spock, no wonder you people got conquered. And that's never mentioned again. And
In fact, it's a what's the word I'm looking for where the opposite thing is said? Contradicted. It's contradicted at one point because I think somebody says Vulcan was never conquered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But unless
Well,
he's
I think the
speaking...
implication at the time there was that, like, Earth conquered Vulcan.
Yeah, because this was very early days of TOS, I think, before they had their history decided upon. But now it retroactively works as maybe they were culturally conquered, in that now they have to work with other people instead of being, big swinging dicks on the block. Although they've clearly allowed themselves to still be pretty big swinging dicks in Starfleet and the Federation.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I think assuming your view and our view of the Alpha Quadrant politics is accurate. It sounds like maybe they're really rethinking even going to Earth. It was like, oh, we're gonna these people are downtrodden. They just had a big war. We're going to show up. We're going to save them, make them...
They'll be very grateful.
They'll be very grateful, and they'll be under our thumb for forever.
And then, it turns out...
Yeah, we don't like playing second dick to another big swinging dick.
So where's the logic? Is the logic that they're afraid that humans are going to come out and be the big swinging dick and they want to keep them down? Like, what is the logical explanation?
I think the logical explanation is... accumulate as much influence as you can so that these other civilizations aren't going to rise up to eventually threaten you.
Yeah, we can't have anybody else's big swinging dick rising up.
Thanks, Caitlin.
Yeah, I think, and again, I feel like I said this one, but I feel like, one thing that a lot of people were upset by when the show came out was the depiction of the Vulcans. Because really, up until this, the main Vulcan we had was Spock, who is
and
kind
Tuvok.
of the... And Tuvok. And, Spock was kind of the exception to the rule, and Tuvok was, he was Tuvok. He was pretty chill, we liked him, but every other, non-main character Vulcan example we've had seems to make these guys,
oh yeah, these are Vulcans who are in Starfleet. They're different.
Well, even Valeris.
Valeris, yeah.
But that,
but Saavik. Saavik is a Vulcan in Starfleet. Fits the mold.
Yeah, but... Saavik, doesn't feel as out of place in the light of Enterprise Vulcans. Logic dictates you join some insane conspiracy to keep down the Klingons, because, hey, they're weak. We can crush them.
What is this from?
Star Trek VI.
That's not Saavik.
No, I know, I said Valeris.
Oh, did you say Valeris? I may have heard Saavik
I shifted back to Valeris.
In my crazy brain.
Yeah.
Oh, I think I also thought we were still on Saavik, but...
Yeah, Saavik...
Right.
Yeah. But then, you think of most of the other Vulcans, Captain Racist Dickhead from DS9. There was some admiral at some point who was a prick.
That narrows it down.
Yes.
Well, a Vulcan
please
admiral.
See Jake's article about dickish admirals.
Probably
a Vulcan
on
admiral.
Say, though, speaking of admirals, so far at least, Admiral Forrest has shown himself to be pretty solid.
Yeah,
in terms
competent.
Of, competent and having his people's back.
The least asshole human we've probably met.
Yeah.
Because everyone else is just racist.
But yeah, so I don't know. So this, going back to just this episode, it's shaky. I think that there's some really cringy scenes, like the boob face scene. But overall, I don't mind this episode.
That's the thing.
I think it's one of the better ones that we've seen so far, in my opinion.
Oh, definitely.
The thing that's part of the reason the scene bothers me so much is because, it's hey, they're kind of doing okay this time, but they had to fucking do that. It's still this, Lucy pulling the football away moment in the middle of an otherwise competent episode.
I don't know. I was a bit cold on this episode because so much of it was questioning why T'Pol would just do her duty and leave Starfleet because the Vulcans told her to. And Archer getting really offended on her behalf when she's not at all bothered by this. And then Archer basically telling her, over and over whilst they're tied up in a room together, we gotta fight for you to stay in Starfleet, blah, 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 all this stuff. And it's dude, she has a different point of view than you, and I'm really getting goddamn sick of it. I don't even think of it as, because, I think he's also sad that the Vulcans are taking out their hostility on T'Pol because she becomes the scapegoat. I actually think that this is, what's our ambassador's name?
Saval?
Saval.
Yeah,
I think
there we
this is
go.
actually Saval just trying to piss off Archer by taking away someone of his. I don't think it's about T'Pol at all. I think it's Saval punishing Archer by taking away one of his people.
Yeah, well, I think that's probably true. But I think it serves two purposes. It punishes Archer. It takes him down a peg.
Because fuck
Not
that
just
man.
by him, just by him losing personnel, but also if he doesn't feel bad enough about what happened at Pajem, well, now he also has the added guilt of, oh, this very competent officer is now going to be, demoted and punished.
Scrubbing the poop mines.
Yeah. And the Vulcan poop mines are no place you want to be.
Well,
Well,
they're
I
all
mean,
they're all vegetarian, so
Damn it, you
that's-
beat me to it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Getting back to the thing, I have a question.
Yes.
Why has it taken so long for there to be any fucking comeuppance?
For
I mean,
Pajem?
here's the thing. Honestly, considering how, short-memoried Star Trek tends to be, I'm surprised we ever fucking heard about it again.
I mean,
if this was Voyager, this
Oh, yeah,
never
never
would have
again.
come up. Yeah, I mean,
Those
so
monks are
like-
dead.
Well, so,
Yeah.
yeah, that's the thing. It feels like they're acting quickly on the destruction of Pajem. Why it took the Andorians so long to kerplode it is another question.
Well, I'm also wondering
Yeah.
why didn't the writers do this earlier?
Oh, because that would have made
Why-
sense.
Fair, okay.
And, have you seen how they have run this show?
Right.
Again, like Caitlin said, I'm almost shocked that there were consequences at all.
Mm.
I'm amazed that even, fucking Shran coming back and saying, I owe you, and it wasn't just some new Andorian.
I haven't been able to sleep at night because all I keep thinking about is how much I have to give back to Archer.
I was
It does-
very irate that they brought back that rapist Andorian,
Yeah,
too.
it's like, him, really?
Why not the
that
other
was
one?
the one. That one is the one you had to bring
Yeah,
back.
it's the same one.
Gross.
That was unfortunate.
Bring
but,
back the other one. He was fine.
Yeah, or just bring in a new one.
And also, this is the last we see rapist Andorian, so we don't even get to see him get fucking murdered some way.
Let's tell ourselves he died during this.
Good, I'm
Horribly.
glad.
Very horribly. And yeah, but Ames, I didn't really think about it till you said in your intro, but it does sort of suggest that Shran has just been following just outside of Enterprise's sensor range this whole time.
I was very
Andorian
confused.
sensors are a little more powerful, so he's just just stay right. I can't do a Shran. Just stay
why
right
is
outside their
it so
sensor.
convenient? It's so convenient that he's here on this particular day, like he knew it was going to happen. And he's like, okay, now's a great time I can save Archer's life. How did you know, asshole?
You know what it is? You know what it is? He heard through the intelligence wires that, they're reassigning to Paul, and he went, the pink skin is sure to do something stupid because of this. If he's going to get himself into trouble anytime, it's now.
Well, and also though, they said that they had people inside the Corridon.
I wanted to know more about that.
So it might just be. Well, it kind of makes sense. If they're having their little Cold War thing with the Vulcans, and the Vulcans are putting in their puppet governments or their cultural whatever's all over the place. It makes sense that that there would be splinter groups of people who are pissed off about it, because there's always going to be people that are like, yeah, fuck this new regime, fuck the Vulcans. And it makes sense that if the Andorians have been paying attention to what the Vulcans are doing, they would know about those splinter cells, and then they could get involved and try to take over, or at least have people on the ground to know what's going on.
But still,
then
be
their
there.
informant got killed.
Yeah.
But still, to be there that quickly, Shran had to have already been in the general area.
Yeah, he was definitely cloaked behind someone's ship this whole time.
Well, it sounded like Shran was involved with the resistance on this planet, not specifically the guys that kidnapped.
Well, that's fucking convenient.
Yeah, well, it's because he even said I have a man on the inside, so somebody who was one of the people in the terrorist camp, the guy that got shot, who is I think our first actual death in this show, by the way.
I think you're right.
And we don't even know that he died. We just saw him got shot and fall down, so who knows? He's probably just sleeping.
Well, I mean, T'Pol didn't die, and it was
That's true.
probably potentially the
Wait,
same.
but that
kind
was
of
an
weapon,
Andorian
so-
weapon. Who shot the informant? I think it was Vulcans?
Yeah, I think it was the Vulcans. that
What are
shot
their
him, 'cause
weapons like?
Because
Brutal.
the Vulcans were just fucking shooting wildly, apparently.
Yeah, this was the least Vulcan plan I've ever seen, and it pisses me off an awful lot that, what's his name? I've lost his name. Sopek. That Sopek decides, okay, we're going to mount the rescue. We're on it. Firefight. The least logical solution I've ever fucking heard.
Honestly,
Well, and, like-
I'm good.
I was just saying, and like his whole thing about don't do anything stupid now is fucking ridiculous because him and his buddies go in there and just start blasting. And
Oh, it's like that
of
Danny
course,
DeVito
like,
meme.
Yeah, exactly.
I just started blasting.
And if Archer or T'Pol just happened to be standing in that room, one of them probably would have got shot.
That's what I'm saying.
My question then becomes, why do the Vulcans even fucking bother?
They were trying to kill Archer and T'Pol.
I like that. I kind of like that.
I think Trip even suggested that, oh, and if someone happens to get hit in the crossfire, no problem with you, eh? Or whatever. And I believe him. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Well, if we accept that, like, if we go with a premise that that Corden is like
A proxy
war between, with the Vulcans supporting the, as Shran said, like the totalitarian government and the Andorians supporting the upstart rebels, then the Vulcans mounting a rescue of one of their people and a human being held in a terrorist encampment, and then the Vulcan and the human just get caught in the crossfire.
Then you blame the other guy.
Then that's, hey, and the Andorians were fucking supporting these people. One of the people that we killed was an Andorian agent. Look,
payback for Pajem.
You just escalate the conflict.
That's a good reason. I like that.
Yeah, and if you happen to kill the problematic Archer and T'Pol,
no, go out of your way and kill the problematic Archer and T'Pol.
Yeah, like
after you go in and like, we're saving you, but then you shoot them in the head.
Yeah, it's a win-win. And you now potentially get, if you can successfully, tie the rebels, the rebel terrorists, if you can successfully tie them to the Andorians, now you also have made an enemy of Earth, and now they're going to join you in their hatred of the Andorians. So it's extremely logical if your goal is to escalate the conflict with the Andorians.
Yeah.
All very fair.
And finally, maybe get the humans to chill out a little. By which I mean follow our example more rigidly.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who this Captain Gardner chump was.
I think we either meet him or hear more about him later.
He sounds like a chump.
Cool.
I mean, Archer's
he's the Jellicoe of the
yes, that's exactly what it is.
22nd century.
Hot.
I mean, Archer's a dick, but I bet Gardner's awful in his own special way.
As long as he makes
Gardner's probably the company man,
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
As long as he makes Troy take off that stupid fucking jumpsuit, I'm on board.
Team Jellicoe.
It's true.
I haven't done enough shitting on Phlox yet today. So let's start.
He stole food again.
He stole food
Oh
again!
my god!
Hate
Seriously.
him! Dick!
I rewound
I'm
to
so
make
glad
sure.
you said that, because I thought the same thing. I was like, here's Phlox helping himself to T'Pol's fucking lunch again.
What an asshole!
What an asshole.
What an asshole.
Yeah, I'll join you. What
by
an
the
asshole.
way, and they're gonna have a little going away party for you. Oh, I'll look forward to stealing food off your plate at the party.
I like how he sounds like hedonism bot.
Yay!
Like, that motherfucker, right? If he was at a party and there was somebody walking around with hors d'oeuvres, he wouldn't
he'd take the whole tray?
No, he wouldn't. He wouldn't take anything off the tray. He'd wait till somebody else took it and put it on their plate, and then take it off their plate.
You're right. That's it.
While looking the person with the tray dead in the eyes.
God, I hate
And
it.
looking at the person who took the food with the other eye.
Yep, it turns out they can do that lizard thing.
No.
Because why not?
And then he gives you that fucking smile.
Phlox is like a that's a Denobulin. Wow, fuck. Denobulins should be like Vulcans, where every time you turn around, they have a new power. But in their case, rather than being a plot convenience, it's just to make them more off-putting and annoying.
I think Phlox already has that.
That's a bit more and more. We just find out more and more details over time. Like, you know.
Listen, Chris, I don't want to yuck your yum on this one, but I don't need to know anything else about him. We got a Phlox-centric episode. I hated it. No, I'm just kidding. I actually don't remember how I felt about it, but every second that Phlox was on screen, I was
Which was a
deeply
lot of
uncomfortable.
it, yeah.
Yeah, Phlox is the worst.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
Unfortunately, his name doesn't rhyme with anything fun, so we can't do a Kirk as a jerk.
Mm.
Phlox is a cock.
Phlox is a pox on this show.
Holy
Yeah.
shit! And the
It's
irony,
funny,
because
people
he's a
love
doctor.
him. There are people
Who the
who
fuck
love the
likes
show
him?
he's their favorite character.
Wow, what the fuck is wrong with? Have those people ever seen any other shows?
Apparently not.
I don't know. Maybe he gets significantly better in the future.
Maybe, I don't remember though.
But
I don't
so far, it's rough.
I don't remember leaving the show with a strong impression of him either way. So maybe
Well,
he
that's
ends up averaging out to forgettable.
I was gonna say that's promising. Maybe in future they'll try less hard to make us give a shit about him.
Maybe.
Like they'll be like, "Wow, Phlox really isn't doing it with the test audiences. Time to put him in the background like Mayweather."
Poor Mayweather.
Did Mayweather have a line?
Was
this
Mayweather
week?
in either of these?
I know.
Yes, I saw him in one of them for sure.
Yeah, I know he was in the background once, and you heard his voice on the radio, I think, once.
Okay.
But yeah,
He
he
didn't
does
do
very
shit.
little.
Nope.
I mean, for that matter, Hoshi didn't do much either this week.
Hey,
That's
Hoshi
true.
got to do the "I can't hear you, we're going through a tunnel"
That's
thing
true.
with the Vulcans,
Yeah, she
like a
did get
loser.
to do that. She
That's
did
a-
get to run interference, literally.
Classic
And she
Trek
told
move.
us that she had learned a whole language. I don't remember what language it was or whose it was. Was it the Corridans?
Probably.
So that's pretty good.
What's sad is, despite what little she's had to do, I think she's already done more than poor Nichelle Nichols did in the whole of TOS.
Woof.
I don't know. She hasn't had to kiss anybody yet.
Yet.
I try to be realistic.
We had a whole scene of watching Archer licking gruel.
Oh yeah,
God.
what the
Yeah.
fuck? And the worst part,
Unnecessary.
I was watching that with headphones, and the sound effects were
no.
too good,
Ooh.
too good.
Good
Well
job, sound
done.
effects.
Foley
Here's the
guy.
thing. He was able to pull the fucking transmitter out of there just fine. He didn't need to lay there lapping at the bowl like fucking Porthos.
Oh,
Ugh.
Christ on a button.
Mm-hmm.
Still,
Yeah, that was gross. There's not going to be any plomeek broth to Paul.
You're not going to be able to eat a salad because Phlox ate it all already.
Off of your plate. Boy, oh boy.
Yeah, I think the last thing I've got is, so yeah, T'Pol gets shot. I'm not entirely sure why she really wanted to jump in front of some bullets. Was it because, Archer had so many emotions that I somehow absorbed some emotions and really need to show that I've had a character arc this episode? Or did she just want to
the
die
motivation-
from having to talk
Yeah.
with Archer all episode long?
The motivation for that, I mean, obviously, for the plot, it's important that she does it because it gives a reason for the Vulcan to feel indebted to her, I guess. But
Lots of debt
As-
in this episode, eh?
yeah, as a character choice, I don't see T'Pol jumping in front of a gun really for anybody, let alone that guy. Maybe it would have made more sense if she did it for Archer.
I originally
Um,
thought that the gun was aimed at Archer and thought that's what she was doing, but then read a couple synopses afterwards and they were like, oh yeah, it was aimed at that guy.
maybe she thought if she tried to protect him and lived, the Vulcans would forgive her and not send her to the poop mines and just send her to the, like,
Well, sadly,
crappy
it backfires
library.
on her
Yeah.
fucking ass because Archer, again, and here's another thing that pissed me off, because, she wakes up and he tells her, oh, I convinced Ambassador Dickwad to say he'd, go back to the High Council or whoever,
Well,
High
this was
Horses.
Captain Dickwad.
Captain Dickwad, thank you. And maybe he'll speak on behalf of you staying on Enterprise. And her response was, you should have consulted me first. And damn fucking straight you should have. Why does Archer have to make the decisions for people when he doesn't know their intent? I'm so angry.
Yeah.
What
It
an
is kind of
asshole.
fucked up. Especially because it's almost like that's his revenge because she didn't seem sad that she was getting sent away. He's like, oh, not gonna miss us, is she? Well, I'll make her stay until she will miss us. That'll show her.
You know who doesn't miss someone, though? Reed's parents.
They're so British. They're like, oh, where is he again? We lost track. Cool. So wrapping that up, let's move on to Shuttlepod One. So, as I am wont to say, Trip and Reed are flying around.
Woo!
But they're in the shuttle pod today. And they're doing scanning, or doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what they're doing.
They
They're
were
in a shuttle pod.
testing something. Who cares?
Sure. And they're out there and they feel some kind of kaboom. And they lose their sensors and comms. Whoopsie. So they start back to go rendezvous with the Enterprise, but all they find is wreckage of the ship all over an asteroid.
Oh, no.
Welp, we're fucking boned.
Mm-hmm.
However, we learn pretty quick that sadly Archer is still alive. Rats.
And Phlox.
I would not have been sad. It was just some alien ship thing that was malfunctioning due to microsingularities, apparently, that we never get back to, but that's okay. That took off a couple panels of the Enterprise while they were exploding, but we rescued all the people off of it because no one ever fucking dies. No one dies! Meanwhile, over on Shuttlepod One, they only have 10 days of air. They can't call anyone, and they assume that they're weeks away from rescue because, they think Enterprise is blown up.
Yep.
So from there, this kind of turns into just a kind of simple character piecey kind of story about the two different takes they have on how to accept their imminent demise. Trip is jury-rigging everything he can on Shuttlepod One. He's got the refrigerator running. He's got the oven to keep him warm. He's done everything on the ship to try to give them a fighting chance. While Reed has started writing farewell logs to his family and to every woman he's ever made eye contact with in his life.
Seriously, there was
a gal named Caitlin.
Ooh.
There was
what did his letter say, Caitlin?
Wow, I don't. I thoughts of your big ass have been keeping me sane during this horrible time.
Keeping me so warm.
It's true.
So
Thick thighs save
eventually,
lives.
there's some kind of breach thing that knocks their oxygen levels down even more, adding insult to imminent demise. And Trip turns off the heat to give them 12 more hours than they'd have of oxygen.
Yeah, 12 miserable hours. Fuck that.
Yeah, but at least they have this bottle of Kentucky bourbon to keep them warm and let them have heart-to-heart conversations over that they would never have had if Reed weren't drunk. But then, suddenly, out of nowhere, Hoshio, what is my life? Hoshi radios over with some new rendezvous coordinates 2 days hence. And there's a moment of, yay, the Enterprise still exists! Before a very abrupt, oh no, we do not have the 2 days left to get there. Trip is ready to pull an Oates and just go outside and maybe some time to give Reed a little bit more air to breathe. But Reed won't let him, and instead they decide to blow up their impulse engine because one of them has recently seen the Galileo 7, I guess.
Oh, that is what they did.
That is what they ignited something.
They did it for a different reason.
But still, they...
It was to get attention, though. It was kaboom. Yeah. Look, it's me. Save me, please.
I asked Chris while watching this if they were going to somehow do some Morse code action with their with the pod.
Well, I think they mentioned that, but I think they said visually they wouldn't be visible.
Yeah.
From that distance.
I think what I expected them to do was to just rely on the sheer size and girth of Reed's raging boner for T'Pol.
I'm not done with the synopsis. Let me get to the end. Enterprise saves them. After all, day is saved, and we do the high-angle zoom-out shot of Reed and Trip in sickbay. The exact same shot that we just saw in Shadows of Pajem, the end. Very strange.
So, again, pretty competent episode.
Mm-hmm.
But the dream sequence. Why? And then the bum discussion. Why?
The bum discussion wasn't bad. The trying to make out with T'Pol was gross. I really liked Stinky.
Yeah, I don't know. I think if you forget that this was written, if you can forget that,
did you think AI wrote it or what?
Well, if you assume that these are real people,
okay,
it seems it's better because I could imagine having a dream like that.
A wet dream about T'Pol.
A wet dream about T'Pol. Why not?
It just made me think of Jake.
Oh
You know
no.
that Curb Your Enthusiasm episode where Jeff's like, yeah, the other night Cheryl dipped in or whatever
Oh, yeah.
while he was jerking off. He's like, I can't help who comes in when I'm doing that.
Yeah, I like to
Okay.
think that Reed has never even noticed T'Pol before, but then in the stream he wakes up and is like, oh, she does have a nice bum. I had never
dear.
thought of this.
Okay, I was debating whether or not to bring this up. I'm gonna do it mostly for like 3 people in the audience.
Oh my God, is this your theory?
Ames, I apologize in advance.
Oh, God. Should I,
was
just
gonna
leave? I'll
Is
leave.
Batman involved?
No, Batman. I was going to
James
insist that you did. I'm glad you're
Joyce.
doing it.
James Joyce.
James Joyce, author of Ulysses.
No one has ever read Ulysses.
No, yeah,
Well,
Reed is
apparently
fucking lying.
Reed is.
But
Oh.
Reed
Every
is
English
pretending-
major owns Ulysses but has never read it. I have it. I've never read it.
I even had a copy, and I wasn't an
Oh.
English major.
I think I know where you're going with
You
this,
know where
Chris,
I'm
but
going with
carry
this.
on.
I think I own it too, and I was never even assigned it. I just bought it because I was like, I'm gonna read it
Ditto.
someday.
Same here.
Yeah, I bought it at my school bookstore just for shits and gigs.
So Jimmy Joyce
Yep,
writes
yep.
Ulysses, right?
Sure. Allegedly.
Yes. Well,
Allegedly.
yeah. Jimmy Joyce also famously wrote his letters to Nora, a lover of his.
Oh.
And you can get edited ones that are just all the love letters and all this, and it's all very clean and, you know.
But why would you fucking bother?
But it turns out, and Kate Beaton does a comic about this, which I shall find, the unedited letters give us notice of James, well, what some folks might call a scat fetish.
Mm-hmm. I've definitely
He
heard
wrote-
about this.
In detail about how much he enjoyed Nora's farts. So he's reading
Is
Ulysses.
what's the verb form of this? Scatology?
Scatological?
Scatol.
Yeah.
That's not a verb, though. That's an adjective.
Sure,
Yeah,
let's say
I know.
scatology. Why
Let's
not?
say
I like
scatology.
that.
I thought that was specifically shit, though. I didn't think it was
I
fart.
think there might be stuff about shit in
Well,
there too. Let's not
he
get
also likes her her racing striped underpants. He mentions.
Okay,
Yeah,
well, there you
so-
go. Then it is scatological.
So he's reading Ulysses. In the dream, he's like going on and on about Stinky. Is this a code to let us know that Reed also likes toots?
Toots.
I'm going to say sure.
I like where your head's at, Chris. I'm disgusted.
Yeah, I was like, wow, I think I'm gonna pull the Caton and Jake this week.
Yeah, bring up shit fucking. Nice.
Yeah.
Fucking.
But yes, my first thought before we got to Stinky Ames was also, no one's stop that, Reed, you lying prick.
I mean, it's the future. People are better than we are. So
Oh.
maybe
Actually, speaking of better than we are, I know maybe to a certain extent he's joking, but like to have Reed be like, hey, comic books and science fiction. Some of the most major science fiction authors are British.
Oh,
Science
that wasn't
fiction
even.
was basically invented by Mary Shelley and H.G. Wells. Arthur
That
C.
wasn't even
Clarke
a-
is British.
I'm sorry. I keep thinking you're done and then jumping on you. I apologize.
That's right, now I'm done.
Well, like I just don't like it because I hate when people say shit like that in a science fiction franchise.
That too, yes, I
yeah,
despise
it's
that.
very self-referential. And
It's just stupid.
It takes you out.
It's, yeah. But again, also, like, the British love science fiction. They invented Doctor Who, for Christ's sakes.
Yeah, Douglas Adams. He's great.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Like,
Well, I
to
think it's not necessarily the British-ishness of him. I think it's just we want to see Reed as hoity-toity, kind of stuck up, keeps everyone at an arm's length
yeah.
for the top of this episode, so that when he starts to kind of peel away the layers as he thinks he's going to die, and also his inhibitions go down when he has most of that bottle of bourbon,
So much.
to kind of
That bottle
get
that never emptied.
that bottle that kept refilling slightly, if you noticed.
Well, there isn't a toilet in there.
No.
Oh my god!
Sorry.
He has a scat fetish now.
Wow, not, ooh.
Woof.
That's water sports.
I know. It's called docking.
I don't need to learn this, but no,
Uh,
I kind of like
yeah.
that about Reed this episode. Like Reed actually, when we kind of see him at his most vulnerable and talking about how, yeah, the reason why I'm really upset is because the Enterprise just died and it had literally the only people I was even remotely close to. And considering when we saw how close he was to most people on Enterprise and it wasn't very, it makes his life seem real fucking sad.
Oh, well, let's be fair. The only person we saw him definitely not being close to was Phlox.
That's
and
true.
I think that we can all sort of relate to that.
Hey, don't forget, there was that scene where he thought Hoshi was hitting on him when she was trying to figure out what his favorite food was. And he was like, nope, not interested.
Which, considering what a fucking hornball we find out he is in this episode.
Yeah, because he can't get close to people. He just fucks. He fucks and he moves on.
But he
fucks and sucks.
And
fucks
in this case,
sucks.
he was like, I can't do that here. This is too confined.
Mm-hmm.
So he was being responsible.
So the thing, I think the thing about Reed is he's obviously a fairly socially awkward man.
Deeply.
Generally. He doesn't have
his parents hate
relationships
him.
really with his family, as we've seen.
Probably better off that way.
He doesn't really seem to have relationships with the crew, but because Hoshi and Archer and Trip was there, because they got him a birthday cake, they are now his best friends in the whole world.
Oh, God,
That's
that is
both
what it was.
beautiful and sad.
Sad, yeah. And
they're the only people that ever thought of him enough to get him a birthday cake.
Oh.
At least in a flavor he liked.
Yeah. Well, oh, God. And, like, not throwaway, but, like, the letter to his parents, where basically it turns out they've frozen him out of their lives because he joined Starfleet. It's like, Jesus Christ.
Well, they wanted him to join the Royal Navy or whatever.
Idiots.
Wasn't that a thing in an episode?
In the cake
that was a
episode.
thing. Yeah, and that's actually something that that I thought. So ultimately they do this thing where they blow up the impulse drive, and that's what gets the Enterprise's attention, presumably. But I kind of wish that they had tied that idea in better with Reed's like naval upbringing. Naval,
In what way?
Well,
How would
'cause
you tie
I
it
don't know.
together?
By being like he could come up with the idea and be like, of course, a signal flare. Yeah, in ancient times, when in the ancient Earth,
Ancient times.
when a ship was lost at sea, they would get the attention of another
I see what you're
faraway
talking
ship
about.
by launching a flare. That's what we need. We need a flare. And Trip's like, buddy, we don't got a flare gun in here. What are you gonna do? Pop open the hatch and shoot off a flare gun?
Moon
I
him with
can't
your
do
white
that.
ass.
And he's like, no, but we have something better. The
What accent
impulse
is this?
drive. It's my
Actually,
Reed accent.
I was going to say, it's his... Honestly, it's the first. I think it's the first time he's not just done Reed as a ridiculous comedy Cockney.
Or
he's
any
doing
English
a fine
person.
job.
So anyway, they and then I don't know. I just think that would have been a nice touch to have him like really go back on his upbringing since it already came up in the episode.
And then he'd write Mumsy and Dadsy a letter being like, Oi, Mum and Dad, I thought about our fathers and our forefathers and everyone who was in the Navy, and I used that knowledge to save the day. And they're like, we still hate you, you're dead to us.
I was saying, but then again, he did use his own self, which is I love explosions.
Yay!
That's true.
He
That
does love
motherfucker-
explosions.
Loves blowing shit up. I think you go far back enough in the family history, Janeway is actually partially descended from him. So what's really kind of interesting about this, as like I said, as a character piece, is like Reed is unaware he has plot armor,
Right.
whereas Trip is. So from a metatextual sense, that's really quite interesting to see the interaction there. It's kind of like how with the second Silverbloods episode in Voyager,
Course
it's like
Oblivion.
Course Oblivion, it's like people who are used to having plot armor suddenly don't have it and don't know how to deal.
Yeah, they're like, what?
This
This
is-
should work. This usually would work. Not with
Yeah.
you, friend.
This is sort of the opposite, where it's like one character knows, the other doesn't, and how they conflict because of that. It's also, I think, good that there was plenty of dramatic irony. Like I said, right away the audience knew, no, Enterprise is fine.
Yeah,
'Cause
if
we
this
would've-
were a twist at the end, it'd be dumb.
Yeah, we would have known the whole time anyway, so better just to treat it as dramatic irony. It helps, it just works better that way.
Yeah, and then we get all the great, like, little, sometimes fights, sometimes discussion between the two characters. And the two of them have chemistry like, whoa, like, they did a great job.
They're great together.
Yeah, I feel like they start putting these two together more often after this.
Smart.
Because I remember them spending a lot of time together on the show.
I think it's great that the fact that they've both plowed the same waitress really brought them together.
Aww.
That just would have made the flight even more awkward as far as I'm concerned.
They're like, oh, well, thank God we're both dying, because I wouldn't be able to take this. What's that? The Enterprise?
Oh, I'm both relieved and a little sad. You're right, though, Ames, when you mentioned Oates, because that was kind of my thought. But I was like, no, it's supposed to be the Englishman that tries to nobly sacrifice himself.
Yeah,
I've
for a
seen
second
this
I thought they were
play.
going to fight over who was going to go.
Right? Honestly, having seen this episode, I forgot, but I thought, do they fight over this? I feel like they fight over this.
Yeah, I also kept thinking, when it's like, you won't shoot me when I'm trying to go out. What good will that do you? And my thought was, wait a minute. If you're both stunned, are you going to take in less oxygen?
I wondered that, too.
I wondered that, especially when Reed was aiming a gun at Trip. And it was like, What if you just stun yourself, see what happens?
The problem there, because I thought about this, is that close range stun can be fatal.
So they'd have to stand at opposite ends of the pod and do like a countdown.
There we go.
And hope that they're better at hitting their mark than we are when we clap this show in,
Yeah.
Mm.
I do think, though, that something that they didn't think about was just anesthetizing one of them or both of them.
Yeah. I mean, but
did they have the stuff for that?
I'm sure Reed is trained in combat techniques and could just choke Trip out.
Put him in a half Nelson.
Gladly.
Yeah, but the problem is that would probably give Trip a boner, and I don't think there's room in there for the two of them and Trip's boner, not to mention all the oxygen.
That's true. But
do people...
I would hope that there's like a medical kit that would have that type of equipment.
Yeah, but like with anesthesia in it?
All I know is that anytime, at least in future treks, chronologically speaking, anytime you need to anesthetize somebody, it's just a hypo spray away.
Yeah. But do people who are anesthetized use less oxygen? That I don't know.
I think you generally use less oxygen when you're asleep.
You breathe less, I think. It's like, anytime you're not talking, you're using less oxygen, so unless you're a rampant sleep talker like myself, that's already one step in the right direction.
Yeah, and consider also they would be unconscious, which is a deeper level of sleep, because I think you actually do a little more cardiovascular, or you do maybe a little more heart pumping when you're in REM sleep. Maybe, if memory serves, I could be way wrong, but being just fucking unconscious would probably just be very slow breathing.
Yeah.
But
I know that REM sleep is a totally good way to say what you just said, but now I'm just trying to think about what REM sleep would be like for, involving the band.
Yeah, I was trying to think of
goes
lyrics.
out to the one I love.
There we go.
To Paul.
I wish that they had gone a step further with Malcolm thinking that the second time that they're back, on Enterprise was a dream by calling to Paul Stinky.
Ha! But he was stinky.
I know, but it would have been funny if he had said something like, "Don't you have something else to say to Stinky?"
There you
and
go.
she would just be like, "What the fuck?"
Okay, he still needs to be in sickbay for a long time.
How does he know my nickname for all these humans?
That's kind of what I was thinking when he said he was liking the nickname Stinky. I was like, does he mean because she thinks they all smell?
Now, what I want to know is, what nickname would Reed actually give himself if given the option? Because I feel like it would be something like Striker, or, I don't know.
Vulcan.
Yeah, oh,
Boomer.
yes.
No,
Oh, wait,
no,
that's
Mayweather's
already
Boomer.
Mayweather. I forgot Mayweather existed for a minute.
Fuck, what was
Just like the writers.
Yeah.
Whoops.
I'm gonna say Fox, as in
Oh.
Guy Fawkes.
Guy Fawkes?
Mhm.
Nice.
Because he is famously Bomberman,
But he was
and
trying
also
to
British.
he was trying to upend the government, which feels not very Reed.
That's true. He is quite the bootlicker.
Who's a bootlicker that likes explosions?
Oh no. Just kidding. I don't know anything about his predilection for explosions.
We do know he likes bootlicking, though. Sometimes he becomes a floor just so he can lick the people. Like,
Oh,
A
weird.
floor with like a tongue sticking out of it. It's so vile.
well, he
Well,
can
but
just
see-
turn any portion of his body into tongue material.
Yeah,
But here's
yeah.
the thing: a boot.
Wow,
has,
no wonder Kira always looked so happy.
a boot has a tongue, so he can
There
just
you
turn into
go.
a boot and lick himself.
Ah, there you go.
Damn.
Beautiful.
Wow.
That was good.
Anyway, I liked this show. I thought this was a good one.
I like this
Good
one a
show.
lot. I think it was good character work. I like there were a lot of like little ideas, like using the nitrogen tank to find the leak.
Yeah.
Smart, nice little
Using
little
mashed
moment.
potatoes to plug the leak.
That was not
Never
smart.
work.
Although in
I don't know. I've had those plastery instant potatoes, and I think it was a perfect plan.
in retrospect, though, Jake, the nitrogen to find the leak. How much did that piss you off?
Oh, I even said to Ames, I was like, oh, why don't they just look for the cloud of air that the rushing to the exit?
Because I thought it's like, oh, so they do understand that it makes more sense to have gas on the inside to demonstrate this.
Low.
Yeah.
And it looked good. And here's the other thing I read about this episode that I kind of feel good and bad about at the same time. Because what they did to create the set of the inside of the shuttle pod was they basically made an igloo and constructed the outside with like 6 air conditioning units and blocks of dry ice. So
Wow.
it was actually as cold as it looks.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
So
I hate
watching
that.
them shivering and stuff, because, every so often you're like, oh man, that's some good cold acting. They're actually
Nope,
that
they're just cold.
They had to act it in like a couple minutes at a time because they would get too cold. The other thing in this episode, over on the ship, when thankfully we got very little on the ship, because I'm sure I would have been done with them pretty fast. T'Pol thinks there's a micro singularity. And the first thing is Archer's like shrugging her off, like, no, T'Pol, those don't actually exist. And she's like, yeah, but they're rumored that they might exist. There's just no proof. What if we looked into this? And it's the most interested in something we've ever seen T'Pol on this show.
Yeah.
And Archer is doing nothing but being a dick.
Well, that's
and when
his
they figure out
payback.
when they figure out it actually is a micro singularity, instead of, oh, T'Pol, you were right, or her shoving it in his face that she was right, it's, oh, we should check on Trip and Reed then. I'm like, fuck you forever, fucking Archer.
See, you know what I would have given him points for? Is if he'd been like, oh, so micro singularities are real. Maybe that means time travel's real. Glare.
Nah. Does Archer get better?
I don't remember.
I remember you liking him, or at least not hating him.
Yeah, I'm starting to think maybe I was just way too disconnected from Star Trek when I watched this. I don't know. I feel like at some point he just becomes a goof. Like, well, not a goof, but like a sitcom TV dad. And therefore
he's
more
already
endearing.
like a TV dad. Like,
But
I
a
think
less
that's the
annoying
problem.
one. Like, more endearing, but I could be misremembering. I don't know. Ugh.
Well, I thought this was a strong week, so this is the best that I have felt about Enterprise since we started.
I agree. I think these are certainly two of. I mean, the bar is exceptionally low, but these 2 episodes definitely rate highly in comparison to what we've seen before.
Yeah. Could have
Yes,
done with all
this
the...
one episode and the other one that you guys seem to like. Because
It's
you
fine.
like Shran.
It was competent, which
Yeah, it just seemed like it had more going on. It
the pacing almost worked.
yeah.
I don't know. I
Again,
found it
could have
very
done without-
confusing, so.
Could have done without the T'Pol scene.
I mean, that's like, I think we can just make a blanket statement about every episode of Star Trek Enterprise and say I could have done without the gratuitous T'Pol sexualization.
Yeah. And Phlox.
Oh, wait
Yeah.
till next week.
Oh God, next week.
Oh no.
Oh,
It's-
is this the gay kissing? I feel like I've heard about gay kissing in this show.
I'm not aware of any gay kissing.
Oh, no, this isn't the one I think it is. It's not, is it?
Well, we'll talk about that next week, but before we get to next week, we do have our blogtivity for the day.
Yay!
Oh shit.
And for some reason, I think mostly just to round out TOS, because TOS characters do have... I mean, there are fewer characters in the original series than there are characters in the other series, so I wanted to throw them a bone to make sure we had a number of weeks on the original series. Because today is
Ames,
Christine Chapel.
But Ames, we did DeForest Kelly weeks ago.
Ah.
I have already forgotten what I just said.
That's fine. It wasn't a good joke. But
Okay,
thank you,
good.
Jake. Thank you, Jake,
helped.
for the sympathy laugh.
I helped.
You did. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, Chapel's hard. right?
Okay,
Because...
I got a thing for Chapel. I got
Okay.
I don't have a good. I got one big thing for Chapel.
Okay.
Chapel.
So did Jean.
takes-
Hey.
Hey.
Chapel
Ah.
eventually takes her life in hand and fucking makes it on her own.
How do
Now,
we know
Becoming
this?
a doctor?
So, Chapel's a nurse in
Yeah.
TOS. Then there's this line in the motion picture which reveals that whoever wrote it seems to think nurses are rank and not an actual, like, job that you have to study for in a specific way. Where McCoy is like, I hear Chapel's an MD now. So Chapel, at some point between TOS and the motion picture, went back to school to become an MD and went back to Starfleet to be a doctor in her own right. And
Way
then,
to go, Chapel.
and then, when everyone else on the Enterprise, except Chekhov for a little bit because it was convenient to the plot of Star Trek II, was like, fuck it, I'm just going to spend the rest of my life with these same 5 people. She's like, see ya, bitches. And the next time we see her, she's working in Starfleet Command in Star Trek IV, helping organize crisis response on Earth, presumably as some high up in Starfleet Medical.
Yeah, I think that's good. I mean, she's like the one person in the Enterprise crew that didn't just hitch their wagon to Kirk.
Yep.
For their entire career. I mean, Sulu
Sulu
eventually
gets away.
escapes.
Eventually, but it takes him a while.
Well, so does Chekhov.
Again, briefly for Star Trek
Chekhov
II.
just got fired, okay?
Like, he fucked off for 10 minutes to be on the Reliant. Things went wrong, and he was like, this is what I get for leaving Kirk, and never leaves again.
Yikes.
I don't know. I do think it's a little. It could be seen as uncomfortable saying, like, you know, if she went back to train to be an MD, as if that's a character progression, because it's like they're saying nurse isn't a good enough job when it sounds almost like it's backhanding nurses.
Well, I think, I don't know what the fuck the writers were thinking, but I just mean Chapel decided just spending the rest of her life in one thing wasn't good enough for her. She's like, I am gonna be my own thing. I'm gonna see about, you know, and she even said, maybe I'll just be a doctor on the Enterprise. And clearly she's like, no, you know what? It wasn't being a nurse on the, it wasn't being a doctor. I just don't want to deal with the Enterprise anymore. I want my own life separated from this ship that I spent so much time on and all these people with. You know, it would have been, you know, she'd gone back to school for something else. You know, she just happened to go back for something that was still in her field, just a different way.
Well, the other thing, too, if I recall, the follow-up to that line of, oh, I see Chapel's become an MD now, is, oh, I don't want another doctor
questioning
around,
or whatever,
questioning all my diagnoses, which to me is like, okay, I'm not sure McCoy really is going to respect Chapel as a physician as an equal.
Yeah.
And like he wanted an assistant.
Yeah.
He didn't want someone at his own level. And maybe that could also explain why we don't see her on the Enterprise after that film. It's just like, I'm not going to continue. Like, he probably continued to treat her the same way he always did as
his
a nurse.
assistant.
Yeah. And she's like, no, I'm a fucking physician in my own right. Actually, something I wanted to bring up, one of my positives, is that in the Lorelei signal, she takes over. She is the CMO basically.
Mm-hmm.
When all the men have been indisposed.
Yeah, and she's the one who saves Spock.
Yeah.
And Spock is doing some weird Chapel, hear me, listen to me, or whatever the fuck he's doing, and she's like, oh, I know where Spock is. Because they have this weird bond thing.
Now I'm just picturing that scene at the end of Empire Strikes Back when, like, Luke calls out to Leia.
So another thing about Chapel is she, I can't honestly recall, but if I'm remembering what her little girl's made of, she wasn't, like, she only joined Starfleet to look for Corby.
Yeah, that was the chief reason at the very least.
Yeah, but like it sounded like, you know, she was engaged to Corby. She wasn't a nurse. She was like a biologist or something, right? Am I misremembering this? I thought she was just like a scientist. And then she kind of, maybe I'm just projecting
Is
all
Strange
this.
New Worlds rewriting all this then, or what's going on?
Oh yeah, Strange New Worlds is completely ignoring the original
Chapel
history
character?
well, at least from what her little girl's made of. Because if I recall, she was just like a scientist, which is cool in and of itself. She was working with her fiance, Corby. Corby went off to do his mission, whatever, vanished. And then because in her position as a scientist, she couldn't just like get on a ship and fly around looking for him. She joined up Starfleet. The position that was open on an exploration ship was for a nurse, and she knew how to do that. So she became a nurse and then found sort of Corby. So I don't know if it's a good or a bad. Like there's this whole like, okay, there's like a loyalty component, you know, with Corby and like doing what it takes to save someone that you care about.
Yeah.
I think there's respect there.
Yeah, but it's kind of like a gross, like, my life revolves around my man and I'm gonna give up everything else I was doing to, like, change my whole life to see if I can find him, even though I'm pretty sure, like, didn't they think he was dead?
She never did.
She never
did. She held
never
a
did.
candle.
Right, but, you know, but I just think putting everything else on your life on hold to, like, search for someone who is presumed dead, it's kind of, I don't know.
Yeah, there's some of that too.
I
That's
feel
why
like
I was
it-
like,
I don't-
I'm not
I feel
sure
like
if it's
it
a
wouldn't-
positive or a negative.
Yeah, I feel like it just wouldn't fly today, you know, I don't know. But, I mean, that said, you know, good for her. Whatever. Everybody's got to live their own life and make their own choices, and Chapel did that.
Word. Yeah, I just rewatched what her little girl's made of today.
Oh,
I've already forgotten what the hell Jake just said was in there. But one other thing she does in that episode that is really good is because Corby tells Rook you are to listen to Christine and follow her orders, she orders Rook not to kill Kirk.
Mm.
So she's the reason Kirk didn't get thrown off of a thrown down a hole on that planet like that first security guard did.
I mean, Kirk was going to beat that robot with a giant dildo anyway, so...
Kirk's other rock.
Oh, you said rock. I heard ruck. Because that's ruck.
Yeah, no, I know. Yeah, no, that is confusing. Kirk was gonna rock.
She made plomeek soup that time. That was
Yeah.
cool.
She did.
There's another, like... And it's often played for comedic effect, especially in that episode, of, like, Chapel having a crush on Spock, which comes up a lot in the show. And it's a little weird.
Mm.
Yep.
I don't know if it was necessary.
That
It
would be
wasn't.
one of my not good things about Chapel, I would have to say.
Actually,
The pining.
to find one of the good things about that, because I actually think this was the better of the two scenes in Plato's Stepchildren. Because I remember the Uhura Kirk
Oh, yeah.
kiss is kind of squicky because Uhura's there trying to rationalize it. And I said this in our Uhura week, that when she's basically saying it's okay because it's with you, and I was just like, oh, are you making it okay that they're doing this? With Chapel, it was never okay. She
Yeah.
was fighting it. She was clearly not into it. Like the words were like, not like this, not like this. Because, you know, this is a man who she does have a crush on. But to force them to kiss is non-consensual, and she's basically stating this is not okay, which it absolutely is not, and she is right.
Yeah.
Which sure is contradicted later in the one bad thing I have, but I'll wait till we're on the bads.
All right, because I have a handful more goods. Who else has more goods?
Just you.
Yeah, I mean, she's a fine character. Just she doesn't have much to do.
I have a lot more things she does.
She's a great nurse.
Let's start off with she bitch slaps Spock into consciousness in a private little war, which I know we all love very much.
Oh, the Mbenga method.
Yeah, and he's there and says, "No, keep smacking him. He loves it."
It's like that scene in Airplane.
I had to stop her screaming.
Oh, I just love the idea of just a line of crewmen.
Yes, just keep smacking Spock. She lets Spock possess her in Tomorrow Is Yesterday when they were trying to get Hennock out of Spock's body.
Oh, I forgot about that move.
Yeah, it was a good move. And she was also totally into it.
I said I wanted you inside me, not like this.
Not like this!
Cute Data arm wiggle thing.
Oh no! Joe Piscopo.
More like Joe Pisca, no.
Ah,
Thanks, Jake.
I'm helping.
She reteaches Uhura to read in The Changeling after Uhura lost all of her memories.
Yeah, Jesus.
And it was a cute little scene. It's horrifying if you think too much about it.
Try not to.
But Chapel was very good about it.
Hora.
What else did I have? Oh, I just remember when we all learned that McCoy is dying to death in For the World is Hollow and I Have Touched the Sky, that she had the urge to want to tend to him. And I think she had a good line that I read that was, my first role or whatever is as a nurse. My second is as a member of the Enterprise. So she wants to help him, which is just a very Chapel thing.
Yep. Said it before. The best Starfleet medical people. It's medical first, Starfleet second.
Yeah. Hippocratic Oath to the extreme.
Woo!
Last one for me, just because this is a very stupid one that I remember us laughing at. That was funny. When Garrovick goes and is sulking in his quark, Garrovick is the guy from Obsession that Kirk sent to his room because he was a bad boy and he won't eat. And Nurse Chapel tricks him into eating by bringing a whole bunch of those little wooden block things that are supposedly have info on them. Gives them to him and says, "Here's your prescription. It's just McCoy's words, eat." And then he eats.
I thought you were gonna say that she took his fork and knife away and was like, "Okay, now show mommy how the piggy eats."
Oh boy, that's from A Christmas Story?
Yes.
Yes! God, that's a quotable movie.
It is.
Yes, it really is.
Okay, so I got one bad for Chapel. And again, it really goes against the whole consent thing. She fucking buys a love potion from Mud in Mud's Passion.
Yeah, that's fucked up. Christine, no.
Oof.
And then after that, even after, being thirsty enough to literally listen to Mud even talk, which no one should do, she gets tricked by Mud because he steals her badge and escapes. Like a fool.
Yeah.
Doesn't she almost drown in a fishbowl?
Well,
Yep,
yeah, but
she
I mean,
certainly
everyone
does.
was having a bad day there. They'd all been shrunk down. That's not her fault.
Yeah, really. What a fucking idiot. She almost drowned. Fucking negative points for you, Chapel.
Yeah, how dare you? How dare you? I mean, I think she did trip on a sewing needle or
that was
thimble or
quite
something. I
stupid.
can't
Like,
remember
Tripped
what
on
it
a
was.
sewing needle.
how far away from the thing was, because she would have been this fucking tall. She would have been somewhere on a counter, and to fly that far into a fucking aquarium and nearly drown herself.
It was probably like a
Well,
specimen
it's like-
tank or something.
It's like Ant-Man, she still has her full density of her body, so when she falls far. I don't even remember that.
It was
Is that
stupid.
a TAS episode?
It
it's
sure
TAS.
is.
Oh, all right. I was like-
everybody
I
got
was like,
was it the Territon incident?
Yeah,
Is
that
the
one.
So yeah, I was like, all right, Chapel, didn't she do something stupid with Harry Mudd? So I Googled Harry Mudd TAS and read the summary. He's like, right, blood potion.
Yeah, idiot.
Oh, okay, that's why. I was like, what the fuck was Mud's passion? I was like, I thought it was just like I'm Mud and
Mud's women.
Mud's women. I was like, the fuck are we talking about? It was like for a minute, it was like I had entered into a separate universe where episodes of TOS existed that I didn't know about.
Yeah, no, it was from
But I'm
season
glad-
4, don't you remember?
Oh my god.
Happened during
Yeah,
the
I
second
mean, the only-
Kennedy administration.
I don't really have any bad stuff. Again, I think just the pining after Spock,
Yeah.
even though he's really not into it.
Yeah,
and then
like-
she finds out he's secretly engaged.
Yeah, like, what the
and
fuck
he's
was
still
that
not
reaction?
into it. I just feel like, but I mean, I guess on a starship where you only have however many crewmates you have, and you have to see them every day. It's I don't know. You do what you got to do to get through the 5-year mission, I guess.
Yeah, I just felt like it felt kind of cruel for the writers to be doing this to her, because it's like, he doesn't reciprocate.
Yeah,
And then we see he has a fiance, and Christine takes it like very personally. It's actually quite funny. I was telling Jake as I was rewatching What Are Little Girls Made of today, and they ask, I think Spock asks her when they hear his voice on the communicator come in, asking for Kirk, and Spock asks her, "Are you sure that's his voice?" Christine asks Spock, "Have you ever been engaged?" Yes, I know that's his voice. And that's just so hilarious in retrospect because she doesn't know that he's engaged. And he doesn't answer. He specifically gets a little eyebrow raise, doesn't answer because Vulcans never give you information that they don't have to.
I mean, to be fair,
and not answering
Spock is
isn't
more
a lie.
betrothed than engaged.
That's why he paused.
Fair.
He was like,
Like,
how much can I lie but not lie?
A logic puzzle. How do you feel?
And honestly, again, ignoring canon adjustments from Strange New Worlds, the last time he'd seen T'Pring, she was a child, at least according to Amok Time. Yeah.
Well, you know what? You know what caused all this? Temporal Cold War.
Of course.
Definitely.
It always is.
One more thing from Chapel. She gave those snot-nosed children ice cream in And the Children Shall Lead, and they were not even appreciative. Fuck that.
Should have laced it with strychnine.
Or at least some kind of sleeping medication. I'm gonna
fucking... poison. Definitely poison.
Well, medicine is poison. Really. It's just the amount you take of it, so...
Yeah,
maybe
she put illness.
She put in too much sleeping medicine and killed them.
Speaking of overdosing, we're gonna do some more Enterprise next week. Will we survive?
Nope.
Oh, I had stuff to do. So yes, next week we will be looking at Fusion and Rogue Planet. And I guess, Ames, are we moving on? Are we going to be on Mr. Pickard next week?
Yeah. Now that we've gone through all the TOS characters that I care about, sorry, Rand, we're going to move on to TNG characters, starting with our captain, Pickard.
All right,
Jean-Luc Pickard?
And I think we decided, or you guys decided, and I'm allowing it, that yes, we can include things from the series Picard as well as TNG. Is that correct? Because in that case, all of the worst moments will just be being in that show.
Well, I mean, unless you're planning to do another specific Picard,
we could.
It feels like it's the same character. We might as well.
It's going to be a while until we get there, but
yeah. Tell you what. Let's just stick with TNG.
Fair.
Because we're sort of kind of treating this as a watch along, and in theory, there are people out there who haven't seen Pickard yet, who are listening maybe, who knows.
That's a good point.
Yeah, and we haven't covered it on the show. I think it also helps when we discuss things because it makes us remember things a little better.
Yeah, and honestly, just having not seen TNG in a while and having seen Picard very recently, I can find plenty of bad things just from the first season of TNG. I don't need Picard to help.
That's true. There are way more episodes of TNG than TOS as well.
Yeah, and again, that first season is... So, with that, follow us on the usual social media places, the Facebook, the SoundCloud, the Tumblr, Follow us on your favorite podcasty app type thing. And, until next week, this has been Chris.
This has been Stinky.
This has been Caitlin.
And this is always James Joyce's farts.
Woo! Ow, son of a bitch bastard.
Son of a bitch bastard.
Neat.
You got that right.
Did
what
Chris
happened?
grow a horn?
No, I tried kind of moving my neck around a little and I pulled something in my shoulder.
Oh, that's your first mistake. Never move around a little.
Oh my God. Chris, I told you, you're supposed to stretch before this podcast.
You're supposed to stretch before you stretch.
Stretch.
Basically. We're all old folks now. Let's do a podcast, though.
Let's do it.